Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Chef D, and I'm here to give you the winning ingredients for your fantasy football drafts that are pretty much going to be wrapping up this weekend, all the way leading up to Thursday, which is going to be the kickoff game one between the Cowboys and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This will be the installment of players to avoid in your fantasy drafts. Before we get into it, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. We are currently at 439. Let's continue to push that number up. We're almost at 500. That's halfway to monetization. And more consistent content will come out. You're going to get more DraftKings content as well because, hey, when it comes to these Thursday night games, these Monday night games, you're going to want to have some lineups ready, and I'm going to provide some information on that as well. Let's get into some of these guys that we want to avoid in our drafts. When you have to come to, depending on what pick you're at, you're going to have to make some decisions where you have to choose between player A and player B. Most likely in the first round, you might have a chance at one of these guys or later in other rounds. But the first guy I want to talk about is Derrick Henry, as you can see right there. In the picture, in the article that I have propped up, he eclipsed 2,000 yards, which is a feat that not many running backs have accomplished. And now, and especially in PPR leagues, I do not want Derrick Henry. I have him very low in my rankings. Compared to other guys, Derrick Henry exploded last year, got over 2,000 yards, almost, 17, 18, 19 touchdowns, and he still was not the RB number one. And that's alarming. That's alarming. Any other year, a 2,000-yard rusher would be the number one running back. If you just want to see it really fast, let me go to the running backs right here. He was number 3. He went over 2,027 yards, 17 TDs, had 19 catches, and still was number 3. That is insane. That is disrespectful. And I don't want that. I don't want that. Another reason why you're banking on him going for 2,000 yards. Again, I understand they acquired Julio Jones, so this offense becomes a little more dynamic. They really can't put 8 in a box, but history is not on his side. Is not on his side. If you're just looking at the past 2,000-yard rushers, Terrell Davis in 1998, he had 2,000 yards. The next year, either if it was just bad performance or injury, it did not happen. It was a big, drastic difference. So Terrell Davis, 2,000 yards. The next year later, only 211 yards. This probably was because of injury. Next, Jamal Lewis, 2,066 yards. The next year only had 1,006 yards. And the yards per carry went down as well. Chris Johnson received a big bump down. 2009, 2,006 yards. The next season, 1,364 with a 4.3 yards per carry. That's not good. That's not what you want from a number one running back. And the running back bust rate is huge. It's over 50%. So you need to hit on your running back in that first round. Adrian Peterson in 2012, 2,097 yards. The very next year, only had 1,266 yards. So that is the last 4 2,000-yard rushers. They were not able to produce or at least come up to 2,000 yards or even be somewhere in the top 15 running back area. So that is alarming. That's something you need to look at for. You got history not on his side. And you have the fact that he's been way too consistent. Way too consistent. Will the workload finally add up? You got 5 straight seasons. If you're looking at his stats from 2016 all the way to 2020, he increased his yards, he increased his attempts, and increased touchdowns each and every year. Okay? As you can see, 2017, 176, 744, and 5. Then he went up to another level, 215, 1,000, 59, and 12. Then the next season, he went up for another level, 303, 1540, and 16. Then he went, you thought it was over. I thought it was over. But then he finally made history, 378, 2027, and 17 TDs. There's something that's probably going to come. And I do not want to be the guy that's owning him and have to deal with it. I don't. I'm going to avoid him. The fact that it's a PPR league is another reason why I'm going to avoid him. So that's like 3 or 4 cases where Derrick Henry is not worth the risk in that first round. All right. So I'm going to avoid him. Next guy we are going to go to will be Mike Evans. Mike Evans, if we're just looking at it, let's just go to the roster. I'm going to go to the Buccaneers. And Mike Evans is really, really predicated on touchdowns. All right. He is a high percentage red zone target, but with this offense at full health, there's a lot of question marks. You have Tom Brady has to feed Mike Evans. He has to feed Chris Godwin. He has to feed Antonio Brown. Not to mention, if they're at the red zone, it's either Ronald Jones or it could be Leonard Fournette. Not to mention OJ Howard is back. Not to mention Rob Gronkowski is healthy for the beginning of this year now. There's a lot of mouths to feed. I don't want to say cliches, but there's question marks when you're, using a pick at a top 10 wide receiver. You want no questions. It should be he's the number one target, and that's the end all be all. As you can see, Mike Evans is going as the wide receiver 11 right behind Terry McLaurin. Terry McLaurin, it should be solidified in his spot. Obviously, with the bump in quarterback play with Ryan Fitzpatrick, he loves targeting the number one wide receiver in his offense. You got to choose between CeeDee Lamb. He's going to get another bump up because he's a guarantee in 2 wide receiver sets in Dallas Cowboys offense. Allen Robinson is a bona fide PPR monster each and every year. Just a little minus in the touchdown area, but that's all you're pretty much getting from Mike Evans. You're going to get 1,000 yards. You're going to get hopefully your 10 touchdowns. If you do not get that, you are in a bad predicament if you're using a top 10 pick or a top 10 wide receiver on him. No, there's other guys with more upside. Robert Woods with the bumping quarterback with Matthew Stafford. Amari Cooper, who's a consistent guy. Cooper Kupp, who gets a bump. Tyler Lockett is another guy that's every year's top 10, top 12, top 13 wide receiver. There's so many other options. I'm not willing to risk it in this offense where there's so many mouths to feed, and I'm going to avoid Mike Evans on someone that is very touchdown dependent. All right. Next guy we are going to go to will be Marrchase. I know a lot of people in that mid-round range, they want to look for Marrchase. They want to connect the story to the Cincinnati Bengals. Him and Burrow have a connection in college. No, the real connection is between T. Higgins and Joe Burrow. He is primed for a sophomore breakout. Outstanding stats last year, and he can take it to the next level this year. We have struggles from Marrchase as a rookie. 5 targets already, 4 drops, and only 1 catch in preseason. He had a total of 5 drafts in the entire 2019 college football season. I'm just going to have to miss this boat. They made a mistake going for him anyway. They should have shored up that line because the main objective for the Bengals is protecting Joe Burrow, not just giving him a toy. But what if you can't block long enough so he can throw the ball to the toy? No, it doesn't make any sense. It does not make any sense. They leaned into Joe Burrow's once and didn't think about his career as a whole and his health, because there's a reason why he went down last year with that knee injury, is because the line broke down, especially that left tackle, which allowed that to happen. So that's just a huge problem, and I'm going to avoid Marrchase. There's other guys I like. I like T. Higgins more, and I definitely like Tyler Boyd more over Marrchase. Tyler Boyd is a junior Cooper Kupp in that offense. He is very consistent each and every year. You can check the stats, okay? And then last but not least, Let me just go to his page right now. Is going to be Odell Beckham. Now, with this offense and the Cincinnati Bengals, with the Cleveland Browns and all their drama, and then Baker Mayfield, is he the guy? They're kind of protecting him a little bit with the offense, and this is why they're a run-first team, because they don't have full trust in Baker Mayfield yet. And you're really, really banking on name value and what you previously saw with the New York Giants. This is not the same Odell Beckham, okay? This is not, well, it could be the same Odell, but it's not the same scheme. They're a top 5 rushing offense, and they're a bottom 5 passing offense. So that is not a good formula for Odell Beckham to eat, for Jarvis Landry to eat, for Donovan Peoples-Jones to eat. And don't forget, they have Austin Hooper, who they really love, and they want to give him more catches this year. They already came out and spoke about that. They have a two-headed monster at the running back position. They love to run the ball, play defense, and win gritty games. And especially in that division, going up against the Steelers and the Baltimore Ravens. That's Cleveland Browns football, not slinging it all around. They might have a game here and there where they can be able to do that and where they might need to do that, but their bread and butter is running that ball up the middle with Nick Chubb, who's an absolute stud, getting in the red zone, maybe in some third down and long situations, dumping it off to Kareem Hunt. He can make a play and take it to the house. Those are their 2 top options, okay? So those are some of the players that I like to avoid for your drafts this season. Another just quick notable guy, Kenny Golladay. Do not like him. There's just too many problems with injuries. They used a ton of money on him, and they're gonna. I don't know. I think they just wasted money. They honestly just wasted money. The number 1 on that team for the New York Giants is Sterling Shepard. And we saw with the stats last year how Daniel Jones connected with Sterling Shepard, him and Evan Ingram, but Evan Ingram has a drop problem. But neither here nor there. Do not get Kenny Golladay as well. All right. Thank you guys for tuning in. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at MessNHSD, and I'll be back with our players to get tomorrow. All right. Peace out, guys.